a rider. Dedicated to my grind, you can tell I'm getting mine. By the emblems on the cars when I slide up. Got the things they admire. Bound to catch your eyes with the jewelry dripping over my designer. Shine like a diamond but brighter. Cash money stunner, man, they fresh, big timing. Haters throwing shade and it's cool. All that hating that they doing ain't nothing but more fuel to my fire.
Go Building the Dream, episode
4.
Chris Foster, Jorge Almaguer.
Yes.
Perfect. And we got our special guest here for Dr. Ricardo Suarez, owner of West Covina Dental, Bright Avenue Dental. Our show, Building the Dream, as we say. And what we like to do here is we like to have testimonials from all of our clients, but most importantly, we like to have fun and we like to just shoot the shit.
Exactly.
So,
well,
what have you been up to? Talk to us.
Oh, dude, just working. Business, you know what, is good. Yeah. I mean, you know, like everything's a challenge right now.
George's in the residential lending business.
Yeah. Okay. And that's how we met.
Definitely, for sure.
Yeah. So it's challenging. I mean, we get deals, but my God, it's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a little slow on the sales side. Or not slow, it's just hard to get buyers in escrow right now.
Well, rates are up.
Yeah, rates. Well, we had a good stretch. They were down for a couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. We started getting a lot of applications. Just this week alone, they went up, and we just noticed it just stopped.
Yeah.
Buyers didn't want to make any more phone calls. They didn't want to answer. They're like, all right, they're ghosting us.
Get them approved. Every deal has hair on it right now. Yeah. But today is a special day. We've got Dr. Ricardo Suarez here. From my perspective, is first a childhood friend of mine, client of mine, a business partner, but most importantly, we're great friends, and I've been able to watch him scale his business, and it's good to have him on the show today.
Thank you.
Dr. Ricardo Suarez, he owns, like I said earlier, he owns West Covina Dental. He owns Bright Avenue Dental here with the partnership, but we wanted to bring him in and talk to him a little bit about, just
shoot the shit.
Yeah, shoot the shit. How you got into dental, where you grew up, and so let the viewers know here. Although small, we're growing. Let everybody know, where you were born, where you grew up at, and talk to us a little bit.
All right. So I was born in Nicaragua. Right?
Okay.
So I came here when I was like about 4 or 5 years old, and then because we came, my whole family left because of the Sandinistas took over, which are the communists. So we came, and we had some family already here in California. We had friends, but my aunt and uncle in Florida were the ones that were basically my caretakers, my parents, up until about the age of 9, 10 years old.
So they came and they were in Florida already?
Well, my aunt had married my uncle a couple years before that. And so when my family fled Nicaragua, the majority of my family came to California, and they were already all educated. So that, coming to the new country, they had to go through the process again about as far as being educated. My mom is a civil and mechanical engineer.
Trained in Nicaragua?
In Nicaragua, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So she had worked for some time. And so when she came to the States, she had to get her degree again. Nice. So because she's a workaholic, so I went to go live with my aunt and uncle in Florida, and they raised me during my formative years, and they helped me transition from basically becoming a U.S. citizen, and just learning how to speak, write, and think as an American, right? So I lived with them till about age 9, and then came back to California. I lived in San Francisco area, near the Presidio for some time, and then we moved to San Bruno. And most of my friends that I still talk to,
Northern California
too. San Bruno is basically where the SFO is. Mm-hmm. So if you know where San Francisco Airport is, that's truly San Bruno. So grew up there. My teenage years went to public middle school, elementary, and then I went to Sarah High School for 2 years. And then my mom got a job down here, and we moved down to Southern Cal.
Sarah High School is where Tom Brady went.
Correct.
Okay.
A couple other people there. Went to LaSalle. That's where Chris and I met. Mm-hmm. And another old boys school.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, it's funny he says that because I'm going to interrupt him, and that's how I met Dr. Suarez, and I don't think he really remembers, but
our girlfriends know each other.
Yeah, girlfriends knew each other, but we were sitting in an assembly at LaSalle High School, and that's I remember looking back, and then we just we connected, and so he was one of the. I think you were junior.
Junior.
Yeah,
Yeah,
junior. I was a
junior.
sophomore. And then, that's how obviously we connected, so.
So I came down here. He says I always wanted to be a dentist, even from back then. I don't remember saying that, but
Yes, we were driving in his little
I trust him.
Yes,
I trust him.
Yes.
So one of the trade-offs about coming to Southern California was that I got to get a new car, right? Because I was like, I hate moving.
He's the only one that had a car.
I had moved all my life. It was just like, but in retrospect, I think that was one of the best things that ever kind of happened to me because, I can walk into a room and not feel like uncomfortable. I could talk to anybody, be it like, any patient walks into the room, if they're black, Asian, white, Hispanic, whatever they are, Indian, like I don't know, it doesn't matter because I had to move to so many different places. You have to make friends everywhere you go. So I think that in hindsight really kind of developed my character and being able to just walk in a room and feel comfortable. So anyways, so then I went to SC undergrad, SC dental school, and graduated in 2000 from dental school, 1996 from undergrad. And so I'm, I'm a true Trojan. So, and then I started practicing after I did a year residency.
But tell everybody why you wanted to get into dentistry. You knew you wanted to get into some kind of medical.
Yeah, I wanted to get into the health profession. So my uncle, who was in Florida, he was an OBGYN. And so he had, he's in the medical field. And so my aunt and uncle, they raised me. Huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so... so anyways, so when I was in undergrad and I was thinking about going whichever route I was going to choose, I was thinking about medicine initially. And my uncle and aunt, they basically said, don't get into medicine because the way that my uncle practiced initially was not the way that when he retired, the system was. Like by that time, HMOs had taken over and they were dictating treatment as far as what patients could get covered. So my aunt would tell me, she's like, whatever you do, just don't get into medicine. If you're going to get into medicine, do cosmetics, That's where, you'll still be able to control your future. But if you go work in medicine, you're either going to work for the HMOs or you're going to work for the government because eventually government will take over medicine. So the writing was on the wall from back in the 90s. And that's what the big push is nowadays as far as medicine becoming, under the government's control. So I had another uncle that lived in Hillsborough, which is in Northern California as well. Very nice area, kind of like the San Marino of Southern Cal or Northern California, and on the peninsula at least. And so I would always visit my cousin there in the summers and, some of the breaks. And it was always nice to see his dad and mom. Like they were there on the weekends, they took trips, they would invite me to go with them. And so I just kind of juxtapose both positions because when I was growing up with my uncle, we would go to dinner, we'd go to the movies, and it was always in two cars. And randomly, he'd just leave in the middle of a movie, in the middle of the dinner, because you don't know when the baby's gonna be born. There's no not right now. So there's no Uber, yeah, right? So or no doctor to go to the house, right? And so then I just he's like, get into dentistry, so I kind of just gravitated to that. I love working with my hands, and I love creating things, so that's what got me into dentistry.
Yeah, and he even says this, it's like what he used to tell me, my uncle would say, Rick, you don't want to just have to get up in the middle of the night and have to go deliver babies, And so that's kind of what led you in the other direction.
That, and also I worked since I was 14. I always had a job doing something. And one of the critiques or one of the comments that I always get from my people that were my supervisors, I guess, would be you just don't like the way that we have things done here. You always want to implement different things. And I was just like, yeah, because I don't see, I see the inefficiencies and things. So I was always giving my best foot forward, but they would always be this kid was, right. And so one of the things I learned early on is I think I needed to be my own boss, so being under the thumb of an HMO would just destroy me, or someone else's. So I wanted to be my own manager, my own businessman. I wanted to be my own owner. I didn't want to follow anybody's rules. I wanted to make my own rules. Yep. So that's kind of what led me into dentistry.
What about, talk to us about how many kids you have, how old are they? Talk to us about your family a little bit. Yeah. Obviously, there are influences in your life.
Big time.
Yeah.
So I'm married for 23 years now. Wow. I have an 18-year-old that just signed up for the Army Reserve, and I have a 9-year-old and I have a 7-year-old son. So the two younger ones are boys, and
His daughter's the one that signed up to go military.
Yeah, so she surprised us, but it's good.
Very much like him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, both obviously husband and wife, great people, right? But just very much like him. Knows what she wants. She's gonna do it. She's got it all under control.
Okay, so but she's reserved, right? Or full act, or how?
She's going to be reserved. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She's going to be reserved, but she still has to go to boot camp, and then she has to do her training.
Okay.
So she's graduating from Lucerna this year, and so she'll be gone from like June, I think.
What is it, like 3 months or?
Boot camp's like I think she said in like 8 weeks, but there's like a week before and after, like for transition.
10 weeks or something.
Okay, that's pretty good.
So it's like there's a week before and a week after, or something like to that. And then she goes basically from there straight to her job title, which she's going to be an Intel analyst. So she's pumped up about that.
Intel. On the border of 12 miles north? Right?
I don't know, but near Mexico, but in Arizona.
Oh, okay.
So south of Tucson and stuff like that. That's going to... She's excited, but I think she's just being a teenager right now. She's kind of like... I messed up. I should have waited.
She doesn't know what to expect.
No. Well, I think. Well, I have one of my assistants in West Covina. Her son joined the military years ago, and she's like, "Oh, that's normal." Because I told her that she's having regrets. She's like, "Oh, that's normal. Every kid on the way to boot camp, they're all regretting it. They're all regretting it." So it's like, I can imagine you don't know what to expect, right? All you see is movies and drill sergeants like just in your face.
Yes.
It's like they strip you down of everything and rebuild you, right?
Yeah. Basically, but even the recruiter was just like, she'll come back a whole different person. In a good way.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. She's pumped. So we'll see.
It's a good experience.
I think it's a win-win no matter what. So I mean, regardless. So
I think a lot more kids need to do that nowadays.
I told a couple people this before, but I think they're just like in Israel. I think every citizen should serve. There's a 3 to 4 year minimum. I think it's a good reason why they do that. Besides the fact that they're such a small state. But I think it would help this country if
I agree.
did.
Get these kids out of the home, get them in to do something, show them the reality of life. Then come back and might look at things different.
Talk to us a little bit about what's going on. Obviously, you started practicing. What year did you start practicing in the general dentistry field?
So I graduated SC 2000, and then right after that, like I said, I was thinking about this question. Probably like the best thing that I did besides going to dental school, and as far as my education is concerned, is going to do that residency in Miami. So I did a stint of a 1 year residency, so it's advanced education. I was able to do rotary endo, which would be something that we basically never did in dental school. Place implants, something we never did in dental school. Do perio surgeries. Again, we did maybe one or viewed. Like we would watch these things, but as an undergraduate, those are things that the specialists are training to do. So, we got crumbs, if anything. And as a resident, you are able to do those things, so that after that year, which it went by pretty quick.
And you practiced at the University of Miami or what?
No, it was at the VA.
Oh, the VA.
Yeah, the Miami VA, which was like literally adjacent to the what's it called, Miami Hospital, so it's right next to each other. So it was really great because we got to do a little bit of both. We got to visit the hospital and also the VA hospital. So we got stipends for both of them for meals. So we would treat all the all the doctors to lunches and cortaditos and stuff like that. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, that was the best ever. So there's only like 5 of us, I think it was.
Wow. From all over.
Yeah, most of them were East Coasters. Okay. So
you just ended up out there.
Yeah. Because I have family out there from when I was growing up. My aunt and uncle are still there. So
and you're in the business, so I might as well bring this a good time to bring it up. His aunt works for Sotheby's. Realty company.
Oh, okay.
And is in and I'd go out there and I just start talking to people and I mention her name. They're like, "Oh yeah, she's tops in the business." And you always hear, right? Everybody's tops in the business, but yeah, she's definitely tops in the business. She runs a really good team down there.
Yeah, it was crazy. So like, I didn't see my aunt like that. So so my uncle was always the breadwinner, and so when we were young, I had my cousin that lived with me. She's like my sister. And so, anyhow, we were out there, and she'd just be like, glorified Uber driver, basically driving us everywhere and driving her everywhere. Yeah, I mean, she didn't work. You know, so she didn't work at the time, and then they moved to South Beach. And one of the caveats was like, hey, we've saved up, you know, quite a bit of money, so now I want to work and I want to make my own money. The deal was, you know, but the money that I make is going to be mine. So it's like, oh yeah, no problem. Uncle. You know, my uncle, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, at this point in time, like she's just like blew it up, like killing it.
Top 1% in Sotheby's.
Wow.
Yeah, says it on her card.
Killing it.
Yeah, killing it.
Like, and I was like,
she's like, what loans? She tells me,
oh yeah,
Chris, we don't do loans over here. Everything's cash here.
Just wire transfers.
Wow.
I'm just like,
we start talking about loans.
So is she in that high end market? Is that what she's?
Yeah, it's all South Beach, and so these are people with the 4th, 5th, 6th homes.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah. So she's just killing it. I mean, she has a great work ethic, and I think that comes a lot from her childhood and her family and her personally, how she is. But you know, you see that in like, you know, one of the greatest things that my grandmother would always say would be like, you know, I raised nothing but professionals. And she's like, I have a lawyer, I have an engineer, I have, you know, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And that was her gifts. Like, that was her greatest, like, boast.
That?
What?
Your grandma?
Yeah, my grandmother would say. She's like, and if they weren't professionals, if, you know, they didn't have a title, they were the best at what they did.
Wow. That's cool.
So she, like, yeah. For her, I remember they would tell me, like, back in Nicaragua, like, if anybody came up with a B, that was like, you better line yourself up on the wall.
Dang.
Wow.
Mess around.
Yeah. So when I was doing good in school at LaSalle, you know, I got pretty, because I came down from Northern California, I didn't know anybody. And so the first thing basically I ended up doing was getting a girlfriend.
You moved there, so you tried your junior year, was your first year in LaSalle?
Yeah, I hated Southern California because it was so big and just the weather and so hot. I remember driving on the 210, and because I lived in, Monterey Park. Monterey Hills, right? Off via Marisol on the 110.
Kind of like the El Sereno area, right?
Yeah,
South Pass.
It's
South
up
Pass.
in the, where all, like, they used to have a landfill, and I guess they just have
it's like an interesting area because it's like a really,
It was,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, all the condos there are on top of a landfill.
I didn't know that.
Right? So I used to live in one of the condos, so it was kind of like, you know, you go out, it's not a neighborhood, you go out and you're in freaking buildings everywhere. Like, you know, there's no one on the streets, it's all condos.
Well, you know, right now it's a very demanding area right now.
Yeah, I know, because of where it's located, right?
Yeah.
So what was I getting at? So when I came here and I was getting good grades and everything, she was just like, my mom was not even impressed. Like, good job, nothing. Like, I never got really much praise in that sense.
Because it was expected?
It was expected, and we'd be like, oh, that's because of me. And I'm like, what? Oh, that's because of me. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, yeah, I only got 1 B. And I was like, and she's like, and I went to school all day. And I was like, whatever. And she's like, no, let me show you. And she'd pull out her grades. Sure as shit, 1 B. I'm like, you know, and their school is 5 years, I think, in their high schools.
So you got a girlfriend.
So I got a girlfriend, and then that was it.
Right when you came here.
Well, one of the first dances I asked her to dance.
Yeah, because we had the all-girls school, right? We had the girls.
Yeah.
Alverno. Mission, and Ramona, they would all come to the boys' school. So, you know, it seemed like school came rather easily for you, though. The year I met him, they asked me to leave the school, so they kept the good boys. I would tell them that. They said, Mr. Foster, you got to go, but luckily we still remain friends.
Yeah. So, yeah, high school was easier than, I mean, it's crazy because you look at high school and I was like, oh, I'm going to go to SC. And I remember thinking this to myself when I was going to SC, and I was like, oh, I'm going to, you know, you do your schedule. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go from 8 o'clock. I'm going to 12 o'clock. I'm going to have the rest of the day off to do whatever I want. I'll be cool. And, you know, I went to my first class, was a calculus class, and I went in as a biomedical engineer with the EE.
Well, that's what you're going to do.
That's what I was going to do. I was going to do biomedical engineering, and I wanted to go into, you know, some type of science as far as like medical or dental. And so anyways, like EE, I dropped like in my head. I didn't drop it on paper, but I dropped it in my head like within 2 weeks. I was like, this is not for me. This is like way beyond my, like, I couldn't do it. I could just like, they're talking Chinese when they're talking EE stuff. And I was like, more power to those guys.
Crazy.
Right? Like the Elon Musk guys. I'm like, just poop out. And so then BME was cool until you got into like the physics. Right? So I lasted like a year and a half in that. And it was a little demoralizing because I was coming back. I was leaving high school and it was like 4.0 easy, no big deal. right? And then I would go into an auditorium full of, for physics, averages would be like 25, 30 out of like a possible of 100, 120 sometimes. That's your possible score. And your average for an auditorium full of kids is like 30, right? And it's just like you have your outliers, which were like these super smart dudes or guys or girls. And then like I was just like, I'm done. I can't do this. And then I dropped to physics. I dropped to biology. So biology, then it was cake. It was a lot easier. Just a lot easier. So then I graduated with a biology degree. And then I went to SE dental school.
Okay.
When did you buy your practice? Because you owned it for how long?
2005.
Okay.
August 2005, I bought it.
Yeah, almost 18 years.
Which was the first one? The one in West Covina? Or?
Yeah,
Oh,
West
okay.
Covina is my home.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So West Covina is his home. Well, tell us. So you own 2 practices. Obviously, tell us about West Covina, and then tell us about your Whittier. Tell us how everything transpired with both.
So
Let's start with West Covina.
So when I after I finished my residency in Miami, I was like, I never took the boards in Florida because I knew if I took the boards in Florida, I would end up staying in Florida, right? So I never took them. I regret not taking them at this point because now it's you look at Florida compared to California, how it's booming, it's busting at the seams in Florida. Anyhow, so I came back and I was like, Mom, like I don't know where I should go, and like I came out here for a couple like 12 interviews between 2 weddings. My buddies were getting married, and so I went to all these interviews. I think the furthest north I went was like, what's that Dutch city by Santa Barbara? Solvang. I went to Solvang area. I went to all these, and I went down to like Orange County. So a bunch of places. I ended up at 2 locations, one here in Whittier, and then also one in downtown LA, right? And so worked that for a couple years. I tried to buy the practice here in Whittier, but the guy that was selling at the time, I think he just
Wasn't ready.
He wasn't ready. Yeah, he wasn't ready. So I was like at my wit's end, and I was just like looking at places, calling brokers, and I was like, I knew what I kind of wanted. And then I remember something popped on the market, and I called the broker, and they're like, all right, come check it out. We had a cancellation. They were supposed to come tonight, but come. And so I checked it out with my wife, and I was like, Liz, like we were walking in there, and like, you get that, like, you're like, oh shit, like don't make it too obvious that you really like this place. she's like, play it cool. And I was what? Shoot. That was 2005. So it's been a while, man. I don't even know, bro. Like I was probably 25, something like that. So, and I had been practicing for 4 years at both locations. And so I was like, oh man, this is exactly what I want. And so the doctor that was leaving had already put it on the market.
That's the West Covina location?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dr. Padilla had put it on the market a couple times already. He still practices too. And so he was just like Latino. He had put on the market. He already had a bunch of bids, but he denied them. And then he accepted my bid after like this. I think it was a second or third attempt at selling the place. So he had 2 or 3 brokers that he already had worked with, and he accepted my offer. But I remember calling my CPA at the time. I don't even know if it was my CPA. Like if I had hired him already, but I called him because I had worked or knew of him through dental school. He came out and did a presentation, and I really liked him. So I was like, hey, Art, I said, I saw this place. I really like it. I said, but this is the asking price. It's a fee-for-service office. Is everything I want. And he's like, what is he asking? And I told him, he's like, well, does it make sense on paper? And he's like, yeah. I said, yeah. He's like, well, give him what he wants. I'm like, just like that? He's like, well, you want it, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, so why you want to negotiate with him? So you can go give it to someone else? And I'm like, no. And I'm like, okay. And I put my bid in, and that was it. Took 4 freaking months to get the fucking escrow closed.
Oh, wow.
That's actually not that bad. I'm doing this stuff 8 months, 10 months.
Dude, it was nerve-wracking because the problem was on the lease, there was no assignment of the lease.
Yeah, very common.
Oh.
So, and
Banks
then
have a problem.
WAMU had it. Yeah, banks have a huge problem with it because you don't know if this doctor can even work in that place or assign the lease.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just like, it was nerve-wracking for 4 months. But
It was a WAMU building, Chase building, and
yeah, it was WAMU, and then Chase, Chase, WAMU sold it to Foothill. But WAMU took over Chase's position because of the whole debacle.
no,
thing.
Chase took over WAMU's position.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You're right.
that's
Yeah. And then Foothill ended up buying it.
Yeah, Federal Transit.
Yeah.
So you said something interesting. What fee for service
Fee for service
Is what?
is
in the dental world?
in the insurance world, I would say it's basically, there's offices that are Medi-Cal, there's offices that are HMO, there's offices that are PPO, and there's offices that are fee for service. At the time, and even I think we have one more insurance at this point, but we only had one insurance that we were subscribers to. So everybody that came to his office was out of network, meaning that when you go to see him, you're paying a premium and you already know you are because he's not on your list, right? So, and I try to tell patients, HMOs are like this, right? So like, let me see. So let's just say I went to get a haircut last night. Let's say the guy says, I'm going to charge $25 per haircut, right? That's your going rate. Let's just say that's your going rate. So it's $25 a haircut, but if you're an HMO and like, hey, I'll give you 10,000 or 5,000 clients, and every month I'm going to give you $5 for those clients, regardless of whether they come in or not. So as like someone that's new, you don't have one penny come in through that door, you're like, sure, I'll sign in the dot, right? But the second they come in, you can't charge them anything. They've already paid their premium.
Oh.
Right? So the busier you become, the more you start losing because you're like, shit, instead of charging $25 for a haircut, I'm not charging them anything, but I'm getting monthly stipends from this insurance company. But the busier you get, you start realizing, oh my God, I'm just working like a rat, like a hamster wheel. Like you're just working just to pay the bills. PPO is a little bit different. It's like, okay, your fee is $25. We're going to put you on a list, but when they come in, you can't charge them 25. You can only charge them 16. So it's better than PPO or HMO, but it's not as good as the 25, right? So it's a little bit of both, right? And so the fee for service would be something like, okay, they have insurance, you're out of network, so instead of charging them 16, you can charge them the 25, but we're only going to cover up to $16. The rest is out of the patient's pocket, right? That's when you're out of network. So he was basically out of network for everybody except one insurance company.
So it was something you wanted.
Yeah, because regardless if I see someone that's going to pay me $100 for a crown or $1,500 for a crown, I'm going to do the same crown.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's my name on it. So I don't want to discount my work and be like biting my lip while I'm doing it.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah, so you bought it in 2005 ish.
2005, August 2005.
And then you when did you buy Whittier? Talk to us about Whittier. How the group that you put together and who's running the business there. What do you guys got going on? You're at Bright Avenue Dental. Yeah,
we're at Bright Avenue Dental. We bought the building. A couple friends of ours from dental school. There was 5 of us, right? And so Chris was in on that deal as far as helping.
It's an interesting dynamic when you start bringing in 5 doctors together.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah. It's a lot of paperwork.
That it is.
That's for sure. A lot of paperwork, a lot of things to manage, a lot of moving parts. And then we ended up buying the building. I went. Something came up on an email, and one of the guys, like, we had decided years before that we wanted to get together and do something together. By that time, it was like 2019. I think the only thing that we had done together were buy Laker tickets. So that wasn't generating any money, put it that way, right?
Season tickets.
Right, season tickets. So we had season tickets to the Lakers, but we weren't making any money out of that, right? So finally this thing came up on the market and I was just like, oh, before that, something you brought up to the market. He brought a triplex, right? Pocket listing. And I was just like,
right when all the ADUs were starting to happen.
Oh, okay.
You do this, you do that. Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, we got to jump on this, right? And him and I had done a couple flips, and I had been in with some, like, I think 3 or 4 at the time by that. And so, I was kind of used to it. Like, you're putting in an offer. You're not obligated to buy. That's it. Do you guys want to put in the offer? And they were just like skittish. And like 2 out of the 5, me and this other guy were like, let's do it. But you need 5 people to agree.
3 units that could have turned into 5 units and then 6 units now,
Yeah.
Is that what it's at now?
Yeah, it's 6 units now. But it's literally with
I'm gonna
all
kill
these, like you said, 2 of them, let's go, right?
Yeah.
Right off the bat.
Yeah.
Let's just do it.
The other 3 being dentists, it was like pulling teeth. Literally.
It was like, you're just locking up the deal. You're not saying that you're going to commit.
Yeah.
You're just saying, I'm interested. Yeah. I'm really, really, really interested.
That's it.
And then the other 3 were like, I don't know. How about this? And how about that? It was more of like what you were earlier talking to before we were on the mic. It was, paralysis by analysis. You know, like you get so fixated on all these other extenuating circumstances that you don't see what's in front of you. Right?
Yeah.
And what's in front of you is a great opportunity, especially because it's a pocket listing. It's not even on the freaking market yet.
Yeah.
I mean,
So they knew they wanted to do
And you're getting
something,
a
right?
deal too if it's a pocket list.
Yeah.
oh my
you're getting a
God.
deal.
Yeah.
So anyhow, it was like, oh, I don't know if at the area, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, really, guys? Like, let's just lock it up, you know? Let's just see how it goes. Anyways, that fell through, and I was like really pissed. So this came up on the market, you know, this practice and building for sale. And I went and I went to go see it, and I met the doctor and just shooted the shit. He was a really nice guy, really great. I mean, it had been in the area and had been established since 1905. It was
It's like owned by
Wow.
2 generation.
Dentist.
he was the third generation.
Yeah, he was the
so
third.
his
Okay.
grandfather was original,
his
and
dad.
then his dad, and then himself.
Okay.
And then his son didn't become a dentist, and he was kind of holding out to see if his son would have kids, and I think they didn't have kids. I think they never had kids, so he had no one to leave it to, and so you know it was time to sell. Unfortunately, like I was telling Chris, I'm like you're selling at the bottom, you know. So good for us, bad for him, but the building was where the value was.
Yeah,
so,
he started. He was doing very little business. He was just
Yeah.
going there just to still
Just-
resume his career.
Yeah, just
to
because-
do something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
keep yourself busy.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and you know, I worked at the Whittier office when I initially came out, and it was funny because there was a doctor there, and I think he was working till his late 70s, and then there was another doctor here in Whittier that I had treated because one of the hygienists referred me to him or him to me, and he was in his 80s, still practicing, and I was just like, wow. And I was just like thinking to myself, why are you doing this? Because I know you don't need to. Like these guys, like they don't need to, right? Because they've been busting their balls all of their lives, and they've been saving. And then like now being an owner after 20 something years, I get it. You build relationships, especially as a general dentist. You build relationships. You know, I've seen now it's generational. So I see the grandparents, the kids, and the grandkids. And now some of these grandkids that I've seen since they're having kids, and their kids are coming to us. It's like, you know, and like, oh, I just want to see Dr. Suarez.
Yeah.
Like, you know, what do you think? I'm like, it's like the pressure's on you.
Yes.
You know, the pressure's on you because you're like, they become family, extended families. So I get it because, you know, like they look at you like, I had an associate come in like a year and a half ago, and I was like, you're not retiring, are you? Like that was their first question. Not like how the doctor is. It's like, no, are you retiring? Like you're not leaving us, are you? And it was like, no, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying. Like I'm not going anywhere.
His staff.
Yeah, well, staff, but no more so the patients.
Oh, wow.
Because the staff I already talked to, they knew I was.
That's funny.
Yeah, the patients want to know. So, anyways, this came up on the market, and I walked out of there, and I was just like, look, guys, like I don't care what you guys want to do, but I'm doing this with or without you. I'll figure it out. And so they all jumped on board. And so, because it was, you know, owning a triplex, like we don't know that as far as dentists, you know, and investors and stuff like that. But owning a building with a dental office, we know that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so that's one of the things that him and we did skins. You remember those skins that you put on phones and laptops?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Big mistake. You know, and one of the things we came away with is you don't do stuff you don't know.
Yeah.
Right? Pretty
That's
simple,
true.
right? And so I felt comfortable investing or flipping or buying, you know, real estate because we had done that. I had done that already, and so it had the other guy, but the other three really
Didn't
hadn't.
know.
So that's where they were feeling uncomfortable, and I understood it. But this felt a lot more comfortable because there was something dental related to it, right? So there was a dental office, and we could do that. So then we bought the building, and then we rehabbed it, put a dental office in there. It already had a dental office, so. And then we just started advertising and growing the business. Now we're 3 years out.
It's been 3 years.
2019. Yeah.
What are-
4
what are-
years.
what are-
No.
what-
4
Yeah,
years.
4 years. 4 years.
4 years. Yeah.
4 years.
4 years come in September.
What are the biggest differences between office and office? Is there any?
Yeah.
Really?
The difference, I think the difference is, there's a lot more, it's a lot more spacious here at Bright,
Yeah.
right? And it's a lot more cleaner looking because it's new.
Yeah, it's brand new.
Yeah,
This
I
is
mean-
where you go though, right?
Yeah. I went to one right here.
Yeah. I mean, both offices are great. Don't get me wrong. They're both high tech and stuff like that. But it's just like, you could tell that, you know, it's just a little bit newer, right? And so, but as far as the quality of treatment you're going to get the same quality of treatment regardless of where you go. So, but
in other words, you get tortured there, you still get tortured.
yeah, no matter what.
No matter where you're going to
get
tortured.
waterboarded, you get waterboarded no matter what.
Yeah.
So, but the staff at West Covina, I think they've been there. The average is probably like over 10 years. Yeah. Yeah. Ebby's been there for a while. Ebby came with the practice, left for a little bit, came back. April's been there my two hygienists have been there since 2005.
And what Dr. Suarez is trying to do now, and everybody watching out there for all our commercial real estate people, is he's ready to buy his own building in West Covina. So we're looking for a specific target, and we have him ready to go. And I think that's like his next step with that place, and bigger in square footage, and he's ready to go.
I'm ready to grow.
Yeah, we're excited about that.
Yeah, I need space. We need to grow a little bit.
What's going on in the insurance world and the dental world? What are the biggest obstacles that are you seeing out there from a practice perspective? Because I know you and I have those conversations all the time, right? So
that could be a whole show.
It can,
but you asked about insurance and what's going on. So years back, I gave you that example of the $16 haircut and the copay, and that the patient had to make up the difference, which was whatever, $9. And so now the biggest fish in the sea right now, for Delta insurance wise, is Delta. So Delta, for a couple years, was held back by a lawsuit by the CDA, but they went to mediation.
California Dental Association.
Yeah, California Dental Association. Mm-hmm. They went ahead and they settled. And in one part of the settlement, what they wanted to do was and they could do this, is basically say, hey, Dr. So-and-so, as of XYZ, you're now can't charge $16 like we promised you. You can only charge $10, right? So they, across the board, did that to specialists, I think probably like 10% across the board. At the same time that this is happening, right, increase of costs have gone astronomically high. Increase of not just cost of doing business as far as the goods that you're purchasing, but salaries have gone up. And that is huge because, now you're trying to get someone off, to hire that's competent and good, and you're going to pay a pretty penny. At the same time, you have this insurance company downgrading what you can charge. And that's what they did effectively. Just because they can. And on the flip side, do you think that they lowered the premiums for the subscriber? No. Do you think they gave them more money per year? No. Yeah. So where's that money going? That's my question. And so, that puts everybody in a pretty big pickle to figure out a way to survive. So they're driving the market. That is driving the market towards what are called DSOs, which are large, like
the McDonald's.
They're big companies that come in and buy multiple companies. So now they go to Henry Schein, which is a dental distributor of goods and equipment, and like, okay, I'm just one doctor trying to save a buck, right? And so I go to Henry Schein. I'm like, I need this equipment. I need this, and like, okay, we can get it for you, at cost, whatever their cost is. But these guys come in, these large companies, and like, okay, we want this machine, but we don't want it for the same price that this guy is getting it for. They'll buy 300 while I'm buying one. So what do you think they're getting?
They're going to get a better deal.
They're going to get a way better deal.
Yeah.
So they're driving the market that. So I think the projection is they're going to probably have 30 to 40% of the market share eventually. They're driving small businesses, mom and pop kind of dental practices away because you just can't survive. And that's what happened in medicine. The HMOs came in and they got rid of all now for you to get out of medical school, you have to go sign up with the hospital.
That's the only way to do it.
That's the only way to do it. So it's transitioning, and only the strong will survive. And so I'm just trying to position myself in this manner to keep my margins just right, so I can keep providing the quality of service. Because you go to those places and like, hey, can I get an appointment? I have an emergency. Like, yeah, we'll see you next week. No, I have an emergency. Can I come in right now? Our office is like, yeah, come in today or tomorrow morning. Whatever it is. Those places, they're going to be like, oh, you need like in the same example with HMO. If when they walk in the door, you're not getting a penny, your incentive is not to see them.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
No, that makes sense.
Your incentive is not to see them, because the second you see them, you're losing money.
Yeah.
You know, you're getting that check no matter what, if they come in or not.
I have this appointment available on next month.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you go somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, the machine that we're getting will allow us to still deliver quality dentistry, but for a better margin for us, you know. So
yeah, it's funny because for weeks he was telling me about my tooth, for months probably. I wouldn't listen, and then it was maybe 3:00 in the morning.
Which one?
The one you had that ended up yanking.
I have a picture of that day.
You got to post that. You got to send it to me.
That's how memorable it was.
Yeah, and
when his name comes up on my phone, that's the picture I see.
Is that crazy what he did to me? He did that to me. So I called him in the middle of the night. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna die tonight. I'm gonna die tonight. He's like, die. Because I've been telling you.
No, it's not that simple, dude. I already had given him like 2 or 3 rounds of antibiotics. I'm like, this is the last time.
Yeah.
After the first one. So it took 2 or 3 rounds. I'm like, dude, enough. No.
I was laying on the floor in the kitchen. In like, I'm serious. Like, I was going to completely die. I don't even remember what was wrong with me, but I was like, dude, I'm going to die. And he's like, all right. Call me in the morning.
Wow.
Come in, we'll take it out.
Yeah. Ended up yanking that bad boy out. The whole thing.
I've been lucky. I've never had like a tooth like that at all. But I've heard horror stories.
Yeah.
I mean, the worst I ever had was when they removed my wisdom teeth.
Yeah.
Only one. They removed all 4, but one was infected.
Mm-hmm.
That was the worst I've ever felt. But other than that, yeah. But I do hear horror stories.
Yeah,
I heard it's
they're
horrible.
not fun. I'm not, it's not any pleasure to remove a tooth.
I've been having dreams since I was a little kid that I'm going to lose all my teeth.
People tell me that. I'm like,
yeah, what is it?
I don't know.
Really? People tell you that?
Yeah, people tell me that all the time.
Bro,
I'm like, really?
Ever since
Like,
I was a little kid.
I don't think I've ever dreamt of a tooth being removed, like stuff like that. You know,
I do have every now and then a dream of a tooth just
Flying out?
Flying out. You know,
What
just
that
like
means,
yeah, just like oh, fuck, But that's once in a great while.
I have those worries about the veneers that people are walking around with. I'm like, I hope they don't bust out.
I have 2 right here that he did in my veneers. Yeah.
I'm like, don't bust out.
But my saving grace is, hey, don't worry, I know a dentist. And it's funny because last Sunday I was like, hey, what are you doing today? He's like, oh, I got a small little emergency I got to go to the office with. Man, I was thinking right now about his story is like, call your HMO dentist.
Right.
See you next month.
Yeah.
Well, even with medical insurance, I noticed PPO now you're like 2-3 weeks for an appointment.
Oh,
with
you
PPO, yeah. With nowadays, because I remember back then, you would call, you get an appointment within 3 days. But now, even if you have PPO, it's
well, more people have insurance, right? And then also, I think probably I would assume maybe more people are electing to get PPO. I don't know exactly, but all I know is early on, maybe within the first 5 years of owning the practice, I had a kid that had it's not a kid, but he was a doctor that was doing his residency, and he just, I think, had, like, when we were seeing him, he had transitioned to like working for, getting his first job and working for the hospital. And he's like, yeah, dude. He's like, sometimes I'll get a call. You spent an extra minute on average in those exam rooms. He's like, what? He's like, they're clocking you. Like, you have to be in and out of those exams so quickly. Oh, wow. So the big push now, if you've ever, I don't know if many people are noticing it, but the big push is PAs, the physician's assistant. So the doctor is going to become the quarterback, and the PAs are going to be the ones you're going to see. And if anything goes wrong, then you're going to see the doctor. So that's the big push because, the insurance companies have to make money. So,
Wow.
That's what the push is.
What about traveling? What's going on? Were you traveling this year? Are you doing what are you
Cabo.
doing?
I'm gonna
Cabo?
go to Cabo, yeah. I'm going to go to Cabo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we were there a couple of months ago. Georgie's bachelor party.
Yeah. His son just got married.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
How old?
35.
Is he really?
First
Yeah,
marriage?
35. First marriage.
Good.
Yeah, the first
Yeah,
time.
first marriage. Trying to have kids this year.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, good for
Better
him.
hurry the hell up.
Yep.
Yeah.
He keeps staring at me. I'm gonna leave the kid at your house. I'm like, oh,
You're like, yeah,
I
right.
barely got rid. I can't even get rid of him.
It's funny. They see all the TikToks, right? They hide the camera, and then their parents don't want to watch their kids, and they just go drop the kid, and then they go like park, and you see the cameras watching the kid. And
Shut the hell up.
Yes, and they ring the doorbell, and they run off. I'm gonna say to you, and then the caption they put is my parents haven't been wanting to watch the kids. The parents open the door like, oh man, it's
my gosh.
Like your mom doesn't want to bring you to me.
No way.
Yes, man, I'm thinking of Georgie.
No, I don't. Yeah, Georgie's. Because I always tell George, my son, I go, no, George, there's a difference between me and all your other friends' parents. And what is it? I go, I have a life. I was like, dude, I'm out there riding my bike. I'm going out to dinners. I go, I don't have room. I don't have time. I go, and first of all, you can't bring me a kid until it learns how to clean his butt. Yeah. I don't want to do no diaper changing.
Yeah.
But who knows how that's going to be. One of my buddies that I ride with, he just became a grandfather, and he was telling me last week, he goes, George, what we'll do is we'll buy the little trailer, and we'll take our grandkids.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, all right. And I'm like, well, what day are we going to? I always tell him, I go, what day are we going to ride? Because we like Saturday and Sundays for ourselves.
Right.
We're going to take the grandkids.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
No, you got to let them learn the hard way, like all of us did. Like all of us had to learn.
35.
Yeah. 35.
Yep.
35.
His son's in the real estate business.
Yeah.
George owns the loan company. And he's a broker.
Yeah.
He's a broker, so he does the real estate and the loans.
Yeah, but he does our because I don't like to go out in the field anymore, so he does all my real estate side. I'm more 9 to 5 Monday through Friday.
You already put your work in, man.
Yeah, I put my work in. It's his time to pay the price.
9
Go
to
out there.
5. I want that job.
Well, I still pick up the phone though.
Yeah.
I'll pick up the phone after hours. I'll pick up the phone on the weekends.
Yeah.
Right.
It was like today. I had a client, and I was going uphill, and I was huffing and puffing, and the phone starts ringing. Yeah, Turnbull. Yeah. And so this guy left me a message yesterday, and he goes, "I'm on a fishing trip." He goes, "I'll call you tomorrow," because I guess he's overnight.
Right.
And I was like, "Oh shit!" And I recognized the number. And I like stopped, and I told my buddy, "Hey," I was like, "Hello," and I'll pick up the call.
Yeah.
Pick up the call.
Very nice.
Yeah, cool guy. Yeah.
You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, you have to do what you have to do. But I'll still pick up the phone calls on the weekends. I just don't want to go out in the field.
Tell Dr. Suarez you're trying to be healthy. We're trying to be healthy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to. Well, I've been doing pretty good. Yeah. This is my 4th week. So this is my 4th week.
I've been body fat challenge.
Yeah, so it's a body fat. It's not a weight loss.
Again? You're doing that again?
No,
yeah, he won't do it. He won't do
He
it.
did it. I thought the first time.
Yeah, I did it once.
He did it for a week.
Yeah, but he said he goes, George, I'm too busy to commit to this.
Yeah, I can't commit.
Yeah. So this is a body fat one. Yeah, we get tested. What is it? Hydro.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. So it's the one whoever could lose the most the percentage of their body fat. So we're in that challenge. It's a 12-week challenge. So
George has been good though.
I've been really good.
Yeah. So what's the strategy? Like you really plump up before?
No.
Like, you can't even do that. I mean,
you
it's
can't
like
plump up before and then get submerged. Like, look, I already lost.
Here's the challenge. Here's the challenge about this. You got to maintain your lean muscle mass, right? And then you have to drop body fat. So you have to learn how to do both.
That's kind of hard. Yeah.
It is hard. So what I've been doing, and actually I'm going to talk to his guy tomorrow, but what I've been doing is I've been doing weight resistance training 3 times a week, and then the cardio 3 times a week, and I get 1 rest day. But I've been on point tracking my food.
Yeah.
Like on point.
Yeah, at this point, that's what it is.
Yeah, so I've been tracking my food. So I just feel like I plateaued, and that's what Chris goes, "Hey, you call my guy Michael." I'm like, "All right, cool. Give me a call," because I'm like, "All right, I don't know. I'm doing something I need to do something different."
He's tweaking.
Right.
Yeah, I need to tweak something.
Yeah.
Now, the thing that I've done different this time, and I don't know if that's affecting me, because most of the time I like to just go into keto and do fasting. Keto and fasting, I've been really, really successful with that long term.
Right.
This time I'm doing just more of a high protein,
Right.
moderate fats, and low carbs, and it's not working. It's not working. So I feel like I gained weight.
Yeah, they say because once we allow ourselves to do this, it completely messes with our body.
Yeah.
Our chemicals and.
And not only that,
Your metabolism,
I've noticed even my riding.
It makes it that much harder. They say.
Because even my riding, like today's ride really wasn't a tough ride, but for me, I was just out of it. But I feel good. Plenty of rest. I'm getting my 6.5 hours sleep.
I think anymore.
Well, I try. I can't. As much as I try, my body wakes up. I force myself that extra 30 minutes.
Well, we have a couch here, so you take an hour, find an hour in between, come and sleep on it. I have to do that. No, I'm serious. I have to set my alarm. I say, "Alexa, wake me up in 35 minutes."
Well, no. Here's the good thing though, is that I sleep so good is that I don't need naps during the day. I'm really good during the day.
It's too intense.
Isabella says I've napped before. I don't remember napping. But do you have a heart rate monitor?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I monitor everything. I even have one here. I have
one in the chest?
I one in the chest.
I don't trust those watch things.
Yeah. So this was during the day.
Yeah.
But when I go ride, I have one here. All the time. I always ride with this one here. Or if I go walk, I'll put this one on. Or even when I go to the gym, I'm tracking everything. Food, workouts, I'm tracking everything to the T.
And when you're doing weights, are you doing high intensity or are you just doing nice, easy?
I'm doing low weight, long repetition.
Okay.
So I'm not doing heavy weight.
Okay.
I don't.
No, not high weight, but I'm saying like high intensity where you don't take any breaks.
Very minimal.
Okay.
I don't break too much, but I do always need like that small, no more than a minute. I would say between 30 seconds to a minute.
Okay.
All that means nothing.
No,
It's
I
the
just say
food,
that because
100%.
I agree.
No, you're right.
I agree.
You're
A
right.
lot of it is the food.
You're not eating enough. We're not eating enough.
But you're doing enough
so,
cardio. You don't have to do any more cardio. Is what I'm
No,
saying.
because it's 3 times. It's 3
while
times
you're working out. You know how because some people just do high intensity workouts, and so they're just going like from one exercise to another with very little rest. So your heart rate is constantly up. What I'm saying is let the heart rate come down.
And you know what? I know
Because that's what Eric would have me doing. He's like, dude, you're already doing enough. You know, you're swimming, you're biking, you're running, you're good. When I was doing triathlons in the past, and he was like, no, we're just gonna do weight training and work on your eating.
Okay, so what I noticed is that I recover pretty fast. So if I can get my heart rate up, it comes down pretty quickly.
Okay.
You know, so I'll climb up those hills, and I can see my heart rate goes up to like 170, and then in a matter of a couple of minutes, it comes back down to like I see it going 60, 130, 120, and then no more than like 3 or 4 minutes, I'm down to like 105, 110. So I recover pretty quickly on the heart rate part.
So we got a couple minutes here. What are you doing from an organization? Tell us, because George and I like to talk about this all the time. Like, George, what are you doing to like grow your business? How are you trying to drive more revenues?
Or the marketing. Like, what do you do for actually marketing?
Yeah, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing that's different? How are you driving?
Are you doing videos?
Clients. You keep telling us how to start. It definitely works.
I mean, this guy, he's doing all the videos and stuff like that.
He's just good. I got to give him credit. He does really
It's a lot
good
of work.
It is a lot of work. I just don't have the time to be taking videos all the time.
No, you haven't been the patient.
We got Lewis in there for you. We'll throw Lewis in there.
No, okay. So as far as marketing
What
wise,
are you doing to grow?
we're doing direct mailings still. I think those really help. And
crazy.
I haven't got mine
where do you live?
in Fullerton.
But
Yeah, that's right. It's too far.
I'm
You're too far.
patient. How's your patient?
Yeah.
I should
We
get
just-
I didn't get a birthday card.
You know,
Yeah, it was okay.
no,
I
you
was
should have gotten something.
No, it's not yet. My birthday's coming up.
Okay, you shouldn't have gotten one though.
But I will call you out if I don't get it.
Okay, yes,
Okay,
please tell me.
all right.
No, because they should be getting mailed to you.
Yeah.
So it's touches, right? So the number of touches, so all his postings are just touches, right? So the touches are very important. So we do direct mail campaigns, and we're upping it a little bit because we need to, I'm expecting, not a soft landing as what they're saying, but there's going to be a little bit of a lag to everything going on right now because inflation is still happening. I think people's pockets are getting a little tighter still, and I think we're seeing it everywhere. So you want to stay ahead of things, right? Rather than always reacting, you want to kind of get ahead of things. So one of the things we did last year is, we raised our fees last year at the beginning of the year because I knew inflation was coming. I gave everybody raises because I knew inflation was coming. So this year it was more about getting more people in the chair and marketing. So we increased our number of mailings by 2,000. So direct mailing is our number one source of marketing.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I feel.
Mailings?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Shit.
I used to do Google ads when I was like 2006 and
Nothing works.
well, you get that type of client, right? So that's always looking for the
best deal.
the cheapest whatever. And so we're not trying to be the cheapest. We're not trying to be the most expensive. We're just trying to be reasonable, right? And fair as far as like what you're like. In my thing, my logo is in Whittier or West Covina is beyond the expected. So like things happen. We're not infallible. We're gonna make mistakes. So I just try to think about like how would I want to be treated. Like if I do a crown on you and a year later it cracks, we're gonna just do that crown for you. Like we're no questions. We're not gonna charge you. We're not gonna bill your insurance. No funny stuff. We're just gonna redo it for you. Now, if it's 10 years out, that's on you.
That's different. Yeah.
Or if I haven't seen you for 2 years and you have a cavity, I'm like, I don't know what you've been doing, but it's different. But if you've been maintaining what you should be doing, and I tell patients like, if you buy a nice car, Mercedes, let's say, You never get it oil changed. You think that car's gonna last? I don't care how good it's made. It's not gonna last. So you have to maintain your work. So direct mailings are one, and the touches are very important for us. So I think we hit up like 6,000 people now, like I said, and we're gonna hit them up 3 times a year, right? So it kind of goes around. And then we do 2 or 3 times a year. We do newsletters to our existing patients, just telling them what's going on, like just reminding them we're there, and nice little articles, and they have recipes in there sometimes. And then another way is once you become a patient and you're a patient of record, there's a database mailer that we do, and they should be getting 5 touches. So one of them is like at the beginning of the year is a toothbrush for free. Another one is like $50 off at the end of the year to help people like kind of push them to finalize their treatment or utilize their benefits.
A lot of people don't utilize all their benefits.
Yeah, one of the things we used to do is stay open in December, and it would be great because a lot of people, we stay open in December, but we would leave it completely open, like get as many people as we can in December. But then it sucks because that's the holiday season, right? That's for me and my staff, and we've been working all this time. Like, you know, you've had this treatment. It's not like it's something new. We told you in January, and now you want to wait till December? Like, that's not cool. Like, I'm like, you know, a couple people we understand, but like for the majority of the people, like, you know, we kind of just told them like, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. I remember the first year that I was there in 2005, I killed myself. You know, literally, I said I will never do that again because it was just exhausting. So we do the touches. So we do the 50, the free toothbrush, the $100 off. We do the birthday. That's why I'm saying if you don't get the birthday.
I'm going to.
We used to do the birthday.
I'm going to be in my mailbox every day.
I really liked it. It was a lot of fun because I'd buy a bunch of stuff like, you know, $50 gift cards, $100 gift cards, tickets to Disneyland, iPad. So there'd be different prizes. And I had like 25 little things in a jar, and you stick your hand in there and pull a number, right? Yeah. But once COVID hit, everything like stopped because everybody's afraid of touching everything. So anyways, so hopefully that comes back because I really like that. But it was so that's 5 touches plus the newsletter, and those are to existing patients, and then the direct mailers to just people that we don't, you know, so. And then, I mean, I like to do IG and stuff like that, but it's just, you know, it's not as easy, especially with the Android. You know, with the...
That's to get an iPhone.
Yeah, I know, but you know...
You get an iPhone right here, man.
You have someone that walks around with you that has an iPhone.
Whatever. It's just like, damn, man. Yeah. They have a... Yeah,
I know it's big. I mean, he says touches, right? And that's like really big what I believe in. Like touches. I'm going to touch you this many times per week, right? Yeah. So that's funny that it's coming from the dental world. But having said that, Chris Foster, Dr. Ricardo Suarez, Jorge, building the dream. If you're in West Covina and you need dental work,
or Whittier,
you're anywhere in those markets, come see Dr. Suarez. Give them a call. Do you know interesting to know? Do you know your office numbers by heart?
Yeah.
Tell us your West Covina phone number.
626-919-4337.
And then your Whittier office?
562-692-9263.
That's crazy.
Nice.
That's good to know.
I'm pretty sure about the Whittier.
And I'll give you his cell phone number. His cell phone number is 323-363.